What is up, people? Welcome to an extended cut of the Creative Differences podcast. I'm Dallas, and I watched a 4-hour movie yesterday.
Hi, I'm Gabby, and I had to watch that 4-hour movie in 2 parts.
I'm Colin, and I voluntarily watched that 4-hour movie twice.
I'm Demi, and I also watched that 4-hour movie twice. Welcome to another episode of Creative Differences. Today we are doing a review for SAS Red Notice and Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes. Before we get into it, please like and subscribe because we watched a 4-hour movie for you people, and we deserve subscriptions for it.
All right, before we get into that 4-hour superhero movie, we're actually going to start with SAS Red Notice, which is a smaller action film that me and Gabby watched.
Yeah.
SAS Red Notice was directed by Magnus Martins, starring Sam Heughan, Ruby Rose, Andy Serkis, Hannah John-Kamen, and Tom Hopper. In order to save his girlfriend, an off-duty Special Forces soldier faces off with an army of mercenaries who are intending to blow up the Channel Tunnel, and it's based on a novel by Andy McNabb, who is an ex-Special Forces agent soldier.
Ooh.
So, Gabby, what did you think?
See, I thought it was a really fun, corny action movie. I had a great time.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Me and you did not spend too much money on this movie.
It was only like $6.50 between the two.
Yeah,
I thought each.
I thought the movie was going to cost me $20. It cost $13, which is, all
Very
right.
nice.
That's cool. I'm happy about it. But yeah, it's a solid action film. There's nothing groundbreaking about it, but it's enjoyable. You just turn off your brain and you watch people shoot people. And yeah, it's Die Hard on a train.
Yeah, basically. And Sam Heughan he's turning out to be quite the action star. You didn't get to see too much of it on Outlander. Like, he did fight a little bit and you were like, wow.
Well, there was also Bloodshot.
But and then there's Bloodshot as well. I don't know, it was just fun. It was a fun time. Tom Hopper, I was like, whoa, he's in this? And then Andy Serkis showed up and I was like, what? And Andy Serkis played a great character. I was like, I don't trust this man. And I liked his character. He was interesting. I like that Andy Serkis is just like a generic like mercenary dick.
But also he doesn't make them feel generic at all. Like, he brings a lot of personality to it because it's Andy Serkis, which is great.
Yeah, he was like, oh, I have 15 lines. We're going to make the most of these. So I liked that. Hannah John-Kamen's great in it. For the first time in a while, I feel like she had like a decent part in a movie because I don't feel like I've seen her with
that was surprising for me.
Huge parts. Yeah, I was like, damn, she's in a lot of this. I like it.
Yeah.
And I like how she made Sam Heughan's character more human because he was being real like unfeeling there. And I was like, wow, which is way different from like his character on Outlander, who's like this super emotional, like lovey-dovey dude. And like this dude's just like a cold-hearted killer just shooting people in the face.
And then turning it off.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I thought that there was like some cool gunplay that happens. I thought the actors did a great job with the material that they're given. I thought the script was just kind of basic.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It could have used some more flair.
Especially the beginning where it was like talking about psychopaths. I was like, this could have been written better. Like,
we could have used a lot more flair with the dialogue and with the writing. Mm-hmm. We needed a lot more flair. It like boosted up a little bit. It needed a punch up. But yeah, I think Sam comes off naturally charismatic, which works for Tom Buckingham. Like, you got to be able to root for this guy because he's a guy who does not care that he's killing people. It's like we said, like, he will kill somebody and then he turns it off, and that actually comes up a lot in the movie because of his girlfriend Sophie brings it up quite a bit.
Yeah,
Hannah John-Kamen is legitimately the heart of this movie. She brings so much feeling into the movie, and which was a surprise for me because as soon as I found out about this movie because she got cast in it. And when I read that she was playing the love interest, I was like, oh, it's an action movie. She's going to be there and then she's going to disappear and then she's going to come back. And she's not going to be in this too much. I'm just going to enjoy what time I get with her. But she's in it a lot. And I like the way that they use Sophie as kind of a contrast to him.
Yeah.
There's a really good dynamic between them to the point where, like, I would watch a sequel, but I really would want a sequel. I just would want a series of films where it's just Tom goes to kick ass and Sophie saves hostages while severely judging Tom for being overly aggressive.
Yeah, she's like side-eyeing him. That would be great.
They
But
were
I do like at the end where he was like, "Here, Sophie, this should stop the bleeding." First of all, I was like, "No, that's not gonna stop the bleeding." But also, she's a doctor. Just go, man.
Just
go.
She's a
And she's like,
doctor.
"I'm good."
I
She's
love
like,
that.
"Go." I get it.
I love that she was competent. She was the love interest, but she was absolutely competent in all the things that she was doing, which is great.
Yeah.
And they give her one action scene, which I'm cool with. Like I see Hannah John-Kamen's name pop up in an action movie, and I'm just like, please, for the love of God, I didn't spend 5 years watching her on an action TV series for her not to do something. So they gave her like one action sequence, which made me very happy. But yeah, her character was very competent, and I liked their dynamic together. And that's really, if they made sequels, that's what I would come to the movie for. My favorite scene is probably, and I'm not going to spoil it, but they're rescuing somebody, and he does something very overly aggressive, and she just goes, "Jesus Christ, Tom!" Like it's just, she's so judgmental. And I love it.
He was just like, and she was like, "Jesus Christ, Tom!"
Like that's my favorite interaction of the movie. It's just that moment between the two of them.
But I like how she pushes back, right? And she's like, "I get it." Or like when he's like, "Yeah, so we're gonna go to Paris," and she's like, "I didn't say yes." And he's like, "Don't be late."
I like that the two of them the movie's kind of them having to meet in the middle, which is nice.
Yeah. Which like that's how relationships work, man. I thought it was a good time. It's not an expensive movie. It was only supposed to come out in England, I believe, but you're a big Hannah John-Kamen fan, and I'm a huge Sam Heughan fan.
I was glad that it came out in the US.
Yeah, me too. So we came together to both watch that movie.
Yes, we did. And now you have a review for it in which both of us agree that if you like action movies, or if you just want to watch hot people do things in the action movie, get on the thirst train. And feel free to watch
the literal thirst train.
The literal thirst train. And
everyone is good looking.
Feel free to watch SAS Red Notice. It is currently on demand.
Yeah.
Next up, we're going to get to what you guys have probably all been waiting for. Our review of Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Wow.
Directed by, obviously, Zack Snyder. Starring Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, Ezra Miller, and Ray Fisher. In Zack Snyder's definitive director's cut of Justice League, determined to ensure Superman's ultimate sacrifice was not in vain, Bruce Wayne aligns forces with Diana Prince to recruit a team of metahumans to protect the world from an approaching threat of catastrophic proportions. What did you guys think about this 4-hour director's cut on HBO Max?
I actually liked it. I enjoyed it. I'm not about to say, oh, yeah, it didn't feel like it was 4 hours. Yes, it did.
It did.
But it was not a miserable 4 hours.
It wasn't.
I was like watching, I was like, okay, I dig this. There are times when, certain things that I'll get to it later. Let's all do our opening thoughts, and then I will lament certain things. Colin,
you what certain things?
I'll lament.
I bet you will. Not as much as they did in this movie. Anyway, my thoughts. Okay, so here's the thing about this movie, right? If you're gonna disregarding obviously the 2017 version, if you're gonna compare this movie to another movie, your logical thought is I'm gonna compare it to the Avengers, right? Because it's like superhero movie, they're teaming up, fighting the evil, trying to save the day, yada yada. The Avengers don't do the whole oops, we killed this guy last time, we feel bad about it, but whatever. Anyway, the thing about this movie, right, is this movie feels like the Avengers, but better. Because Avengers, while I like it, is a fun popcorn movie. They kick some ass. They get mad at each other for stupid reasons. And that's it. This movie has a depth to it that Marvel almost never has. They had it once. I give it to them once. Black Panther, fuck. What is wrong with y'all that you can't just keep making movies like that? But yeah, this movie just it hit. It really hit. It's long as fuck. It definitely does feel long. I'm also not on that train of I flew by. No, it didn't. But I think the length is really good for it. And overall, this movie, it kind of slaps. Though I don't know that I'll watch it again anytime soon, only because it is 4 hours.
And you did just watch it twice, right?
I did just watch it twice in 2 days.
Yeah, so that's a lot.
Colin, you can say it flew by. It flew by in slow motion.
There we go. That is exactly what it did with Ancient Lamentation music playing the whole way by.
Yes.
Gabby, what were your thoughts? Because you just finished it.
I did literally just finish it. I have a couple. But the one thing I will say is this. So I have for years been asking the question, like, DC knows it was behind Marvel. Like, why didn't they just take their time, introduce these characters with their own movies, and then give us Justice League? Why did they thrust Justice League an like almost uncooked movie? It felt uncooked to me. Just because I felt like we didn't really get enough time with the new characters. And like I was like, why do I care about this character? I don't care about this character in this movie and in this film franchise, right? And after watching this movie, I was like, this is why, because this is what it was supposed to be. I care about these characters now, and I'm more curious about what their individual stories would be. So if this was the original intention, I understand why WB DC greenlit this movie, because it was like, look, we're gonna establish these new guys. It's gonna be great. Like Aquaman was the movie that was supposed to come out after this, right? So you were like, ooh, what's that? Like, let's get in there. Like, there's some conflict here. Cyborg got basically you got his origin story, and then Flash was just so charming and a little bit like just lonely, where you were like, oh, I want to know about that little guy too. And because it was so long, you got enough time to like breathe with the new guys. So that's my general thought, was like, if this is what it was supposed to be, I totally get why they just jumped in, because it was a good establishment of this team. And now I'm basically getting a huge tease for like 3 movies, right?
All right, so I'm going to say that no one is more surprised than me that I really, really enjoyed this movie, and I thought that Zack Snyder did a really great job. It is an altogether better experience than the theatrical version, as well as Snyder's first 2 entries into the DCEU. It is so much better than Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. 2 movies which are not retroactively better because this movie exists, but this movie is great. this movie is like, it's pretty good. I'm not going to agree with Colin on the fact that it's better than Avengers. Definitely don't agree on that point.
Oh, no,
but
no.
it is a really good.
But it's really good.
It's a really good movie, and I do agree that most of its 4-hour runtime is used to its fullest capacity to make you care about these characters and also push forward the story that they're trying to tell. Now that we've given our general opinions, we can give I guess a deeper opinion without giving spoilers for this 4-hour movie.
Colin, I want to know how you were going to start this episode.
Oh, I was going to say that I think Joss Whedon is a punk ass bitch who needs to catch these hands.
Yes.
I mean, you're not the only one.
Also, like, this movie was so different from the other one. I'm like, how did you?
While also still telling the same story.
Yeah, but it just felt like it was the other movie was like this disservice to the characters. I mean, that's why I didn't, it's not really considered good.
So right? I was telling Colin that I watched the theatrical version over the last summer, I guess, with my uncle and my brother. And we were basically picking it apart as we were watching it. And we came to the conclusion that like most of the reason why that movie doesn't work is because it lacks the character work. You don't really care about these characters enough to when you get to the end of the movie that any of this really matters. But I think what makes the Zack Snyder cut significantly better than the theatrical cut is the character work that's being done in this movie. Specifically for Barry Allen and Victor Stone. At this point, we've already seen Aquaman. So we kind of already know what Aquaman's about. But this movie does a great service to Barry Allen and Victor Stone in a way that the theatrical version did not.
Yeah.
Even if I do wish that DC had, given solo character movies before this movie came out.
I would have agreed with you before watching this movie. I feel like this, but it's, yeah.
I still have that opinion because one of my criticisms is if you had made those movies before doing this, part 3 of this movie spends a lot less time introducing us to characters instead of taking us out from the setup of the rest of the plot.
Yeah, like we wouldn't need this movie to be 4 hours if we had already introduced these characters before.
That's true.
We could just watch a normal
Dallas,
movie that is
that
the runtime
is
of
an
a movie.
Inherently flawed statement. You are implying
What's up?
that
What am I implying?
this movie needs to be 4 hours. This movie did not need to be 4 hours with any of what was in it. It could have been shorter. He chose this. Like,
yeah, it actually, it could have been shorter.
true.
And my thing
That's
is, I don't think that this movie is any worse for giving us that character stuff. I'm saying that character stuff could have gone somewhere else before that this movie came out to make this movie shorter. But I'm not saying that the movie is any worse for it. It's actually really good because it is there, because it's not anywhere else.
Yep, I agree with you on that statement. The joke that you said in the chat, Colin, where you were like, if there wasn't so much slow motion, like we could also, I saw this in like a video essay a long time ago on YouTube where somebody was talking about like Man of Steel, and they were talking about how Zack Snyder really likes moments. And every time I watch one of his movies, I'm like, oh, this is an extended moment. We're having a moment right now. And so I feel like it slows down the plot. But somehow for this one, I was like, I don't know. I was just okay with it. I was just like, you know what? I know it's going to be 4 hours and he's taking his time and I'm going to let him take his time. Even though I was not really excited about watching this, I was ready to bail out. And then
you also probably shouldn't have started at 1 a.m.
Yeah, I only stopped it because I was falling asleep and I was like, I don't want to miss anything is why I stopped it. And I was like, I'm going to go to sleep and I'll wake up and I'll finish it. I do like when a filmmaker can take their time, and this was like the ultimate chance to do it.
It gives the characters time to breathe, which a lot of movies don't get to do because unfortunately we adhere to a very strict 2-hour runtime.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, is that is what makes this movie so good for me. It's not just we're getting a team together, we're fighting the bad guys. There are so many smaller, like quieter moments between the heroes or between other characters, and it's like, yeah, this is what I'm here for. This is why this movie works so well for me, because this movie actually makes me care in a way that most superhero movies don't, because they got to keep it pushing.
Yeah, I like the time that we spent.
And that's why superhero TV shows kind of work a little bit more to the character aspect, which is why I'm glad the MCU is starting to do TV shows, but we're not talking about the MCU. I will say one of the things I do wish that just let Zack Snyder make miniseries. If this had been a DCEU series, all of this would have worked. His whole universe probably would have worked a lot better than what we were getting.
And DC knows how to do TV.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that I have to commend Snyder on is that he has always understood, no matter what I feel about his other movies, Snyder has always understood that a lot of the DC heroes are godlike in stature. And he plays to that perfectly by making this Justice League movie look like some sort of Greek epic. These characters are larger than life on the screen. And I kind of wish it wasn't a 4:3 aspect ratio. I understand why he chose it. I just wish it wasn't a 4:3 because I would love to see the rest of the screen. But I know why he chose it, because he was going for a more vertical looking movie than a horizontal one. And I guess that does kind of play up to these characters being larger than life. You know, he understands that and he films it that way. And I will always be one of those people who says that Zack Snyder, his visuals are stunning. No matter what movie you're watching, it's always amazing to look at. He's got a dynamic eye for the imagery that I've always found inspiring.
If he wants to make something look epic, he knows how to do it.
He does.
Yeah, and I feel like these characters need that scale.
The visuals have never been his problem. When they said there's going to be a Snyder cut, I was like, okay, all the visuals you're showing me isn't a problem. Is the story going to be any good? Is the writing any good? And this time around, it was.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like that's his one, like, where he comes up a little bit short.
I feel like one of my problems is that, yes, he knows how to make things look epic, but I don't think he knows how to not make things look epic. Like, he can't just let something be normal.
You can't rein it in. There's no rein in.
You can't stop. It's like, yo, I'm gonna make this sesame seed falling off this burger look as epic as possible.
I think I rolled my eyes there.
It's like, Zack, we don't need the sesame seed falling off the burger to look epic. This is a car crash. Show me the car crash. That's fine. But I'm not too worried about the burger. I'm not worried about the seeds. I'm not worried about how gravity is going to affect this burger and its ingredients. Not everything needs to look epic. When Lois Lane is buying her coffee, walking down the sidewalk, that doesn't need to look epic. I don't need it to be in slow motion.
See, I would argue the point on the sesame seed, though, because that was part of that entire sequence. Yeah, that choice of shot, that's what you want to focus on. I'm not sure why, but it's trying to do a very specific thing. within that sequence of showing this is what's happening right now. So that one I feel like makes sense. Lois walking down a street, no, she could have picked up the pace a bit.
I feel like when you're doing that scene in a way that's like, you've seen, no, not you, but like people have seen from promotional material that like Barry Allen is getting his Quicksilver scenes this time around. That car crash. And if you want to do it like the X-Men movies did, or like Sonic the Hedgehog did, and kind of play it up like lightly and be like, hey, look at all the silly things we can show in this time. Like we can show him drinking soda and rolling up
and grabbing a hot dog.
blankets and grabbing a hot dog, grabbing pizza, whatever. We can show things that don't matter because we're just kind of playing around. Zack Snyder is not playing around. He's like, look how epic everything is. I'm going to show you the sesame seed. Like, no, we don't need it. Just show the car, show him save her. That's what we're here for. If you want to show the truck driver's like, oh no, like, I don't care about his burger, bro.
Well, yeah, while we're on the topic, I will say that there are still like some character choices and aesthetic choices that I don't agree with that Zack Snyder does.
Are we talking about visuals?
Listen, I'm still waiting on my vibrant blue and red Superman suit that he seems so averse to for some weird reason. And I'm never going to get it.
No, see, that's not a fair point. He's not averse to that suit. He's averse to color in any form at any time. At all. True. He's coming out with a black and white cut of this movie. That is offensive. You take what little color exists and you drain that too?
Listen to me.
Listen.
No, I was like, no, just commit to the black and white. You want it to be black and white so bad, just commit.
Well, I mean, the Mad Max Fury Road movie also has a black and white cut, and Logan also has a black and white cut. So,
true. But well, Mad Max Fury Road was supposed to be like black and white and silent.
The thing about that, Logan is hard for me to say because I don't remember the color of that, but Mad Max is very colorful, so it is a stark difference. This is going to feel like, oh, okay, you turn the notch down, one.
Yeah, like, Mara's hair is still gray, my guy.
Okay, I'm like thinking about this movie right now and be honest, and in my head it's black and white. Like it's not a color. I don't see color in it. It's black and white.
Mira is wearing green.
Yes, she is wearing green.
In theory. Not in fact.
Like, not in practice. But that's why I'm like, you know what? Just commit. Just come out with the black and white version because it seems like that's what you wanted.
Listen, man, this movie is Zack Snyder at his most Zack Snyder. The crazy thing is it might be his best work. Like
it works.
It's also so much movie that even the things that I dislike, it's like, all right, well, that's like a really small part of this 4-hour movie. So
right? Like I almost forgot about that sesame seed scene, even though I rolled my eyes so hard they were gonna get stuck. Like I was like, but the rest of the movie, like just the character work, I just love how big a part of this movie Victor was because he felt like an afterthought in the other movie.
Yeah.
And no, like this movie would not have worked without Victor. And that's also what was missing. Yeah, Ray Fisher did so great.
Here's the thing.
He was acting.
In the theatrical version, I really liked Ray Fisher's performance anyway. Because I remember people complaining about it. And I was like, well, no, I think he's great. I think he's doing a great job. There's just not much of him there. And I mean, this movie just kind of shows why Ray Fisher has been so upset that the audience didn't get to see what he did in this movie. Because he did do a fantastic job.
Mm-hmm.
He was amazing in this movie as Victor Stone, as Cyborg. And you know what? I hope that whatever's going on with him in WB, I hope that he can find the resolution that he needs for that. And I kind of hope it leads to a way that maybe he can still do a Cyborg movie.
I hope so too, because he was one of the strongest performances in this movie.
Like, if not the strongest.
The whole way through. Yeah. The entire way through. I was like...
The whole time.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Uh-huh.
The whole 4-hour time.
Yep. That's why it's a big deal. I was like, damn.
There is legitimately only 10 minutes of this movie that I don't think should be in there. And we don't need to talk about in depth what that is. However, Snyder gets bonus points for giving me my second favorite DC OTP in this movie. I was very happy about that. So even if it's a small part of the movie.
I'll ask you off mic.
It's Arthur and Mara.
Yeah.
Arthur and Mara.
Oh, got it.
Yo.
Is
Mara always British?
That's what I was going to ask.
No, I don't know where this accent came from for this movie.
Cool.
Okay.
Because when she started talking, I was just like, what's the accent for? She doesn't have an accent in Aquaman.
Okay, cool. I'm not going crazy. We're not all collectively going crazy.
I'm wondering if that was a directorial choice or because she's not using it in the Aquaman movie.
That last scene.
Yep.
Boy, is she using it.
She was using it in those first scenes too.
Yeah, but like the last one, oi, bruv.
But also that was the reshoot, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a lot.
Goodness.
But it's funny because that scene,
Yep.
There's a couple of reasons I didn't like it.
Are we talking about the scene that Demi thinks should be cut?
Yes.
Just okay, cool. Thanks.
Same.
When you tell me that they're making a Snyder cut, and you tell me, oh yeah, Zack Snyder is gonna get free reign to do whatever he wants, that scene is what I pictured this movie being. Just a whole lot of that.
True.
And I was like, I don't want that, especially not for 4 hours. But that's not what we got. We got Justice League with Ray Fisher being great and a bunch of heart and so much unnecessary slow motion. And speaking of unnecessary things, sorry if it sounds like I don't like this movie. I really do. It's just I have some grievances because when the movie is 4 hours, everything that feels unnecessary makes me mad.
Well, yeah, because you notice it more and it gets magnified.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, we have 3.5 hours left, and I have to watch this Icelandic choir break out in the song.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because Aquaman took a sweater off. Like, okay,
I mean, cool. I get it. Like, I get what they were feeling. I was feeling it too.
Me too, because I would do that too. I would just
but it doesn't need to be in the movie is the problem. Like,
at least not for that long.
I agree with you.
At least not for that long.
Not for a full song length.
That's the thing. Like, if y'all are going to thirst over Jason Momoa, which you do, I don't have to sit here and be like, okay, I still have to be here for another 3.5 hours and watch you thirst and break into a church service.
The thing is that sequence in particular, I feel like it doesn't really add because
it does
all
nothing.
He's doing is leaving.
Yep.
And then he comes back later in the movie and actually does an Aquaman, like, I'm going to save a person thing. And like, but it's like that particular sequence. It's like, he could have just left. You didn't need this. This doesn't. Are we supposed to know that they worship? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
What's the point?
I think that's what it is. Is like he's a godlike
figure.
But didn't we already know that because they said like he comes here on the King Titan, he does shit and he saves people. Like I feel like that was enough.
Yep.
Yeah, that was enough. We didn't need the psalm.
Also, though, this movie does make me a little bit sad that Ben Affleck is out as Batman.
Me too. Oh my God.
Well,
can we talk about
hold
that?
on. He's not out as Batman. He's just not doing his own solo Batman movie. He said he's willing to. He's going to be in The Flash. He said he's willing to come back as a secondary character for other DC movies.
Okay.
In the same way that Robert Downey Jr. did as Iron Man after a while.
Because I really like his Bruce Wayne.
I do.
Like he's
great.
Like he's not really an asshole. He's just tired.
Yeah.
And I love that. And his relationship with Alfred is really good.
So great.
It's great. He's really good.
I want him to have his own movie. I hope that he sees this movie and goes, oh, wait, I did make a good movie. Maybe I changed my mind, guys.
Maybe. We'll see. Because the other movies like nearly killed him. So we'll see.
What?
All right, Pattinson, it's on you, buddy.
No.
Please don't start drinking. But yeah, Ben Affleck is great. And I feel like it's so interesting. Batman is one of those characters that's kind of like Spider-Man. It's like sometimes you get an actor who's good at the alter ego. Sometimes you get an actor who's good at the superhero. Yeah. And I feel like Ben does both really well in the way that Tom Holland does Spider-Man and Peter Parker well.
Yeah.
Ben is good as Bruce Wayne and he's good as Batman.
Mm-hmm.
I've always thought that Ben Affleck is the best on-screen version of Batman because I feel like he's the closest to comic accurate in his portrayal. No matter how I felt about these movies, I was like, Ben Affleck is a good Batman, period. Like
I agree with you.
Is.
In terms of live action, he's definitely my favorite live action.
Yeah, live action Batman. Let me clarify here. Live action Batman, he is currently the best one. We'll see what happens when Pattinson comes along. I'm ready for that. But I think Affleck,
emo Batman.
Yeah, I think Affleck is a really great Batman. And on top of that, I know that we're getting a new Superman movie that's not going to probably be about Kal-El, but I think Henry Cavill is a great I think he's a great Superman. And I
agree.
Clark is such a soft boy, and Henry Cavill plays him so well.
And Henry Cavill is a soft boy. I mean, have you seen his Instagram?
He's such a soft boy. And I just want Henry Cavill Clark Kent. He's such husband material. I just want him to be in the movies.
Yes, I agree.
Just don't die again.
Just a big old soft boy.
Him and his plaid.
I'm gonna give personal
that
shout
was
out
cute.
for a couple different reasons. First of all, this shout out is directed at, well, it's about Lois Lane. First of all, why does she have so much color in her hair when Mira doesn't? Why did you decide that Mira was going to be gray and Lois Lane was actually going to have red hair? But whatever.
Which is
But
interesting,
mostly,
because Lois Lane never has red hair in the comic books or the cartoons. She's not even a redhead.
isn't she? She just has black hair.
She has
Yeah, she has
black
black hair. And then they're like, oh, Mara, who always has red hair, let's take the color out of her hair.
Right.
Maybe
Like
somebody
they
got
hit
it
her with
mixed
a
up.
curse or something, just drained her of all life. Anyway, but like for me, Lois Lane is like the heart of this movie. Like the scenes with her, every scene with her, I think is fantastic, and the stuff around it is great too. But like, there's a scene with her talking to Martha Kent, whatever you want to call her, that like shit, that hit. That was real good for me, and I was like, this is what I want in my superhero movies. Less of the all right, we can punch people, and more of the but like who are we as people and how do we affect the people around us, and the fact that like Superman's dead but also he was a person and people loved him, like let's talk about that. And I'm like, yeah, this is my shit, this is the good shit. And then they get back to punching demons and whatever, but you know,
I think this review is helping us to understand why Colin does not typically like the movies that we review.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's so interesting because like something I've learned about me and Colin is that we are such opposites that we will either like different movies or we'll like the same movies for opposite reasons.
Yeah, because I remember you posted in the chat that you thought that scene was boring, and I'm over here like, no, that is one of the best scenes in the movie for me.
That's a really good scene.
And the thing for me is, I think when I was watching Justice League theatrical cut, I was not bored of that scene. Part of it is because, like we said, like this is the same movie but different. Like it's more, and they've changed it, but there are still scenes that we saw last time. So my experience with that scene in context of this is, at this point, I'm watching a scene that I've seen before.
And we're 2.5 hours in.
That's the thing. That's the thing, though, is that I'm watching a scene that I've seen before, but I'm at a point in the movie where it's longer than the entire runtime of the movie last time. Justice League 2017 is 2 hours. And now we're 2 hours, 15 minutes in or something like that. And I'm seeing a scene from the middle of that movie. And it's like, come on, Zack. But then also, yeah, I'm about the punching and the fighting. And, you know, I do care about the character depth and stuff like that. I don't really care too much about this version of Lois. Sorry, Amy Adams, you're a great actress. You're doing your thing.
She is.
I think that just goes to me being like such a snob for my DC animated stuff. And like the version of Lois Lane I grew up watching from the cartoons is so great. And she's so badass. And she's the Lois I've always wanted to see. We get that, but not in the same way. I love Martha Kent. Diane Lane is fantastic. She's awesome. She brings that heart to me the way that Lois brings it for Colin. But it's just like, this movie is longer than it used to be already. We are not doing near the end. And I'm watching scenes that I saw last time. So can we move along? Like, just tell me what's going on with Cyborg and his dad. Can we get back to that? Because at least that I didn't see all of last time.
Yo, Joe Morton, though.
Okay.
Man, always bonus points
Silas.
for Joe Morton giving a monologue of any sort.
Oh, yes. Oh, so good. It's just the character work.
It's so good. Yeah, the character
It's
work this
so
time around
good.
is so good. And that makes it worth the 4 hours of sitting there and watching it.
See, and that's an interesting point, because one of the things that I think this movie does is, if a Flash or Cyborg movie had come out before this, I don't think I would have been as interested because I don't know anything about them. This laid enough groundwork that now, if you tell me now, I'm kind of interested in the Flash movie. Whereas before it was just like, whatever. Now it's like, oh, that's who this person is. He's cool. I'll watch a movie. If they made a Cyborg movie with Ray Fisher, which I really wish they would, now I'd be like, hell yeah, sign me up because he's so cool in this.
Yeah. And you get to see so much of his powers and it like the extent. And before I was like, so he's a robot, like cool. Like, all right. Versus now where it's like, oh, he like comes from the mother cubes and like he has like he understands every bit of technology ever and it speaks to him. And like he's like this super human that's like an integral part of this team. He is godlike.
Also, quick question that I just thought about.
Yeah,
Is his name Victor Stone because it's supposed to sound like Victor Frankenstein?
possibly.
I don't know. Just thought about that.
But then why not name the dad that?
Yeah, the dad should be Victor, right?
Yeah.
His dad's
But
not
I
in the
guess if the
comics
dad
a lot,
doesn't
though.
matter as much.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Couple things. So we all know Superman died because that was
Mhm.
another
My
movie.
poor baby.
Yes.
Yeah,
He got
sweet,
better.
beautiful.
I just love the notion that the mother boxes are basically, they're like teenagers when their parents go out of town. Like Superman dies and they're like, yo, call up the homies, we about to have a party. They're like, oh, Clark gone? Oh, we got a house to ourselves? Oh yeah. Call everybody
That
up.
is
Right?
one of the weirdest lines in that movie. Like, they were afraid of him. The boxes?
Yeah, the boxes.
The
They
sentient, like
they
were
are sentient.
The
superhero.
okay, but like, what?
Which is also a shout out that I'm glad to be able to give. Shout out to the show Young Justice, because they do a
Hey.
very good job of explaining mother boxes and their sentience and just like displaying that in a way that this film universe has never really had time to. You know, when you're just watching a live action movie, chances are you're not always going to be up on like the canon and the mythos and blah, blah, blah.
Oh yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
because I spent the whole time going, what the heck is the anti-life equation?
Exactly.
And you never
Yeah.
explain it at all.
Yeah, they usually don't. So now you just have people who are like, the hell is a mother box? What do you mean it's sentient? It's a box. But that was funny that they're basically like, oh, we got the house to ourselves. Let's throw a party. And what I also thought was hilarious is when everyone is deciding how they're going to lock up their boxes. The humans are just like the teenagers from Jumanji. They're just like, just bury it. Somebody else will deal with it later.
Oh yeah, I love how like everyone else was like, we're gonna like make these giant fortresses, and humans were like, yep, this hole should do.
Yeah. You're like, that's deep enough, right? Yeah. Nobody can dig that deep.
It's good
Well, you
enough.
know, Dallas,
Hmm.
as you yourself have said a few times, different holes for different souls.
But I love
Right.
how the human plan ended up working because nobody knew where that box was, so then they
But I
they
think-
couldn't find it.
That's just like an inherently human thing, because that happens again later in the movie.
Yeah.
This is what humans do when given a mother box, is just put it like in a closet or in a hole in the ground. They don't really put work into it.
And then nobody knows the significance of it. But it's great. It's like hiding in plain sight, but nobody knows what it is. So then when somebody comes looking for it, it's like, I don't know what you're looking for. I'm so sorry. And even when you get implanted with that alien thing, you really don't know. So like, it can't find the answer.
Right. It was here. It's not there anymore. Shout out to the Amazons, though. The Amazons were killing it.
Dude. Also, I love that you did okay, because the last movie I was like, well, the Amazons got beat real quick. I'm annoyed. And then this movie was like, no. Okay, we're gonna put up a fight.
Yeah. Steppenwolf
I
was
like that.
yeeting them horses.
Oh yeah. I was like, woof.
I have some issues. I'm gonna do the good news, bad news thing. So Amazons are great. I love them.
Yes.
Wonder Woman's music is fantastic.
Yes.
They are badass.
I
women
missed
that
that
like
theme song.
Yeah, me too. I'm so glad they
Mhm.
used that one.
This time around, they wanted to change it up, and they gave us what the subtitles like to describe as ancient lamentation music.
Oh goodness. Yep.
Okay, here's the thing. So remember Black Panther?
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
the Dora Milaje would fight, and you'd get
Yes.
that sound,
That
Yeah.
like
in the
whooping
score,
thing?
that like whoop 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 whoop, like
Yep,
this.
yep, yep.
That was dope,
Yes.
and it happened maybe 4 times in the movie.
Like in the casino scene and
Having
then
the
probably in
casino,
the fight at the
It
end.
happens
but
like it's briefly when they're gonna
the
fight
fact that I
Killmonger.
can't think of all the times says like it was used sparingly.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
Which
his,
it works.
I think that's your
So,
point.
Yeah, Ryan Coogler took a really dope sound and gave it to us a bit sprinkled in here and there, and then Zack Snyder gave us and he used it 87,000 times.
See, the thing is, like, because I watched the movie and then I was talking to a friend about it, and I was asking her, you know, is she going to watch it? And she said, no, probably not. And I was like, listen, I need you to, just because you drink and I don't. So you can do a drinking game where you take a shot, or maybe a sip, honestly, every time ancient lamentation music starts.
Yeah.
Oh
showing up.
shoot, that would be great. Oh, what a great drinking game.
Yeah, I've also made a promise that I will make a drinking game and play it in front of Colin if we ever watch it together. So.
Yes.
I want to be there for that because I want to see
Yes.
the point toward the end of the movie where you take a drink and then before you put your glass down, you have to take
Yes.
another
Another
drink
one.
Yes.
because they were
that
like,
scene,
it's
right?
like,
I
look,
was
if you
just
wanna
like,
do it-
no, you can't do this again.
right,
You
if you want to do
just
it
did this.
every time Wonder Woman steps into a fight or something, maybe. Not every time she
We cut back to her in the same fight.
Like, she stepped in. Yeah. And then we go to Flash and then we get back to Wonder Woman in the same fight. And we're back to the lamentation music. Don't like it.
I feel like we should probably wrap this up, but I do want to say that one of my favorite things about this movie is that despite how good it is, we can still kind of make jokes about certain things about the movie.
That's the
Yeah.
thing is like this to me is it's kind of, as I can't remember who said it, but Zack Snyder Unchained, where it's like he can do everything he's always wanted to do. And I don't agree with everything he wants to do. And it feels very indulgent. A lot of ways to this movie's credit, but also, come on, dude, just cut back a little bit, just a little bit.
But it's so much fun.
Yeah. I was okay with it because I feel like he got robbed.
Yeah.
And okay, let the guy do whatever he wants to do.
See, that's the thing is like this existing, totally justifiable. You say, oh, let's look at the Ayer cut. That guy just made a shit movie. And it got chopped up by the studios. But like Zack Snyder had a reason that he dropped out of Justice League that was super personal. So like, yeah, let him take his shot.
And speaking of that, I did feel really bad for him when he had to step away from the project. But I will say this, to see at the end of the movie where it says for Autumn, I legitimately got chills. And I was like, you know what, man? You did your daughter proud. I think she would have been very proud of the movie that you've made.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I got sad.
And also, he lives in Pasadena, so shout out to Pasadena real quick.
As always. Also, I did like there's one point, I think it's when Barry is Flash, when Bruce and Barry get in the car and drive off, and we just like see the billboard for like the suicide prevention thing.
Yeah.
I was like, that's nice. I like that because it wasn't like, it's not just like an advertisement or something like that. It's like something important that we get to linger on the camera for a bit. I was like, all right, Zack, I see you. And I'm very happy for him to be able to do what he wanted to do.
Yeah, I've heard that he's a nice guy. And here's the thing. I get why his fandom rallies behind him so hard, because I was once one of them, not for the Snyder Cut, but I am a huge Sucker Punch fan, and that's a movie that literally gets crapped on all the time. But I will defend Sucker Punch, okay? And I've done it consistently since it came out in 2011. So I get why people rally behind him. Like, he just seems like a good guy who just wants to make the movies he wants to make. Do I like all of them? No, I don't. I have a very hit or miss relationship with Zack Snyder. But I do think that this might be the best work that he's ever done. To you fans out there, the ones who aren't toxic, I'm happy for you guys, man. I'm glad you guys got the movie that you wanted.
I'm glad for them too, to the non-toxic ones.
Because I was doubtful.
to the Crayola Zack Snyder fans. Crayola non-toxic.
I love that.
We got it.
But yeah, so final
thoughts?
I feel
like that's not fair though, because there's more color in a Crayola box than Zack Snyder has in any of his movies.
Woo! Final thoughts, guys. Final thoughts.
Colin, just keep going. You got some. Apparently, you got some stuff to say.
Coming in hot.
I do. It's just I don't. That's the thing about his movies that just upsets me the most is his palette and his aesthetic is just so. When you say you want to make a movie dark, there are so many ways to do that aren't literal. But when your characters are opening this important box so that someone can send a warning and I can't see what's in it because everything is dark.
You guys remember the text I sent, right? Where I had to put up a bedspread behind my TV to cover the windows so that I could see what was happening on screen.
Yeah, like I literally, that one scene, they opened a box and I was like, I'm going to assume I know what's in there because I literally can't see anything. It's just dark. It's like, bruh. Oh. But anyway, the movie as a whole, I think is really good. It's a superhero movie that gives me what I want, what I didn't know that I really wanted from superhero movie. I think I knew that I wanted, but does it in a way that's just real good. I also think it works extremely well as a team movie because the team is united. Like once they're united. Because I think that sometimes, again, my comparison is the Avengers. In that movie, there's a lot of like bickering. Like, what are you, big man in the suit of armor? Take that away. I hate you. All right, I hate you. And like, we can say that shit for Civil War because that makes sense. There's the personal stuff. But like this movie, it's like when we're a team, we're a team. And I feel like this movie kind of earns its title in that regard. Squad Roll Deep. And it's great.
Rolls Deep. Yeah, it was dope. I enjoyed it. It's way too long, but I am happy for Zack Snyder. I'm happy for his fans. More so Zack Snyder because he's the one, actually making the art. And I think everyone should be able to make the art they want as long as it's not, like racist or something crazy.
As long as it's not offensive or hurting anybody.
And as long as you don't have a Joker dressed as Jesus in your movie.
Oh, yeah.
Which wasn't in there.
Cool.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah.
That's why I didn't come in here ready to fight Zack Snyder. But yeah, I'm happy for him. Good job. 4 hours. 4 hours.
I'm just glad that he got to make the movie that he wanted to make. And I'm glad it was really good so that I wasn't mean to it. I didn't want to be mean, even though I didn't really want to watch it. I'm glad that once it started going, I was like, oh no, I think I'm gonna finish this movie. I don't think I'm gonna shut it off. I'm just really glad it was good. It's a lot better than the theatrical release.
And I also agree. I think that this is a really good movie. I was very doubtful. The expectations were lower than the floor, and it exceeded all of my expectations to the point where it might end up being one of my favorite movies of this year. We'll see how it goes when we get to the beginning of 2022. Zack Snyder did a really great job, and I'm really glad to say that there is another Zack Snyder movie that I actually love.
Yay.
Because I love watching his visuals.
Yeah. I thought all of you were going to hate this movie.
I didn't think I was going to like it, but no, you know what it is? It's the character work. I love character work.
This movie felt like it had a lot more heart in it than Batman vs. Superman and Man of Steel, in my opinion. Like I said, I still got some issues, some flaws. I'm not going to go into them. But overall, the pros definitely highly outweigh the cons.
Yeah, I agree.
And it was enjoyable.
Yeah, I had a good time. Part of me wishes it was because since it has part 1, part 2, part 3, part etc. I wish it was broken down a little bit into a couple parts. I just have to memorize where those timestamps are.
Well, I mean, I think I don't know if it was Snyder or someone said that when it does release in theaters, there will be an intermission.
Yeah. Yo, just give Zack Snyder a miniseries.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because he can do it.
But that's all we've got for you guys today.
Yes, we're not going to be here for 4 hours because
we're not going to do that to you, buddies.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
If you want to hear more about our opinions, you can check out our social media.
This is very true. So thank you for listening to all of that. Thank you, as always, Crown Digital, Brandon, and Io for putting us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Demi, thank you for editing, putting us on YouTube, repping for the Sucker Punch fans. You always do. Gabby, thank you for finishing this movie, even though you tried to start it at 1 a.m. like a crazy person.
Well, no, I have to stay up right now.
Yes, that's true. Colin, thank you for giving the hot take that this movie is better than Avengers, because we all disagree, but someone in the audience listening probably feels seen right now.
Okay, here's the thing. Check back in with me, because I think probably tonight or tomorrow I'm going to start an MCU rewatch, so we can come back to this.
That could be its own podcast series in and of itself.
Oh my God.
We're going to do a call-in check-in.
Yes, Colin's
oh my God.
MCU edition.
Colin watches the MCU.
And for the record, I'm just doing the movies. I'm not doing the TV shows.
That's fair.
But I'm doing all the movies in release order.
Nice.
Ooh, you are not going to like it. Anyway.
Well, I'm not. Well, maybe I will. That's the point, right?
We'll see.
We're going to see.
I don't have a lot of faith in that. Back to you, audience. What did you think of Zack Snyder's Justice League? And did you have Colin watching a 4-hour Zack Snyder movie twice on your 2021 bingo card? Because I didn't.
I didn't either.
Same.
None of us did.
It was funny because he sent the message. We were in a group chat and he said, I think I'm going to have to watch this movie again. And I sent back, I think I am too.
And I was very confused. I thought Colin had been kidnapped and someone was using his phone.
That would be one of the things that you would text to your friends, right?
That's why I sent you that screenshot of my notes to let you know, hey, this is me.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's obviously you. That's on brand. Anyway, like Demi said earlier, you can talk to us on the medias if you want to give us your thoughts or find out more about our thoughts, because the movie's 4 hours. We have a lot of thoughts. So find us on Twitter, y'all_different, Instagram and Tumblr, Creative Differences Podcast, Facebook.com/Creative Differences PC. If you want to talk about sesame seeds in slow motion and how stupid that is, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at a king named Simba.
You can find me, Gabby, on the Instagrams at Stegosaurus.
You can find me on Twitter at DuckMcGuck.
And you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Dreamy Films. Dreamy is spelled DREEMI. Thanks again so much for joining us.
All right, Colin, before we head out, give us some ancient Lamentation music.
No.
Gabby, give us some ancient.
All right.
Thank you. It's been different.
Now, Demi, go back and put that in every 5 minutes.
Every time I say Gabby's name, or anytime Gabby speaks, just play that.
Every time she starts speaking, just, yep.
Bye.
Bye.